All right, guys, we're back with GT Sports on another segment. We're going to stick with football, well, soccer in this segment, and we'll talk about Serie A and Premier League, but we'll start off with the Serie A. We'll start with some standings. You want to start with standings or
All right,
matches
I'll
first?
kick off with the top two here,
Yeah,
Juventus and
go ahead.
Napoli. I mean, it's what's expected. I mean, it's still the beginning of the year, 6 games in. We'll start with the Juventus fixture. I mean, they ended up winning the game 1-0, but it was by an own goal against Palermo, which is not doing so well. I mean, they are probably like the bottom five right now. Uh, I mean, it's what's I mean, it's not that it's what expected of Juventus, but usually every year, I mean, they're that type of team that's like a, high caliber, and I mean, they usually only win by 1 or 2 goals all the time. I mean, it's a different story now. I mean, their attack, they have Dybala and Higuain. But yeah, they still have a solid defense. I mean, they have Rugani, which is supposed to be the next Italian great defender, but we're not getting into that. If you want to kick off with Napoli right now.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to make a comment about Juventus. I actually saw the game. It was off an own goal, their one goal,
Mm.
but Palermo did have some chances, and Juventus was able to defend them all. But you're right that they didn't look convincing, and they haven't a few times this season. And they lost against Inter, which is kind of scary for them. They're obviously still the best team in the league, and they'll continue to be. Um,
Yeah,
but it might be a race between them and Napoli, which I'll get into now. Napoli's in second place with 14 points, 1 point behind Juventus that has 15. The reason for that being is that Napoli slipped up midweek. We're not going to really touch on the midweek matches besides these two. But Juventus won and Napoli drew against Genoa away. And that's the story between first and second place right now. And just Napoli away is right now is 1 win with 2 draws. They're still undefeated, but if you're going to be a Scudetto winning team, you have to win away games, and they haven't won. Besides one, they've drawn 2 away games, which they've lost points for. They did bounce back this weekend at home against Chievo. They won 2-0, which is a big win. And Gabbiadini finally got his goal of the season. The poor kid's been struggling all year. Him and Hamsik got his 100th goal for the club, and he's the captain. So who better to have 100 goals for the club, which was great. But yeah, I think that we were talking about this during break, and we'll go into it now. That it might be the top two teams might be clear, and it might be between Juventus and Napoli all season
yeah.
long.
I mean,
And then third place is
it's
a mix
I
right
believe,
now.
yeah, third place I feel Serie A is gonna be more of a battle for third place. I mean, not saying that Juventus and Napoli aren't gonna be battling. I mean, it's yet I mean, I'm yet to decide who's going to win this one. I mean, people are going to be saying Juventus. I personally would love. I mean, I would love Juventus to win for like would it be like consecutive now? What 6, 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, if I have to say it too, I still think that Juventus are the favorites.
Yeah, I mean
We're just saying that
they're
Napoli
more
has the
they have more
chance.
of an in-depth roster.
Yeah,
But the thing is that Napoli they're a great team. I
yeah,
mean,
and they built a lot of
you
depth too
did
this year.
you
But
did mention their flaws. I mean,
yeah,
Juventus. I'm not saying Juventus doesn't have flaws. I mean, if anything, I feel Juventus has more flaws than Napoli right now. I mean, with a great attack, I don't see any problems with scoring. But I mean, it's still a work in progress. I mean, you're looking. I mean, this is soccer we're talking about. I mean, there's constantly new people coming in and out. I mean, it's very hard to grasp some chemistry. But yeah, I mean, it's still September. I mean, their teams will be heating up. But if I really had to depict, I mean, I don't really know the story with like the battle for third place. I mean, you have Inter, then you have Roma, Lazio, and AC Milan.
yeah, and
Battling.
some of them struggle. We are also talking about Roma. They lost 3-1 to Torino this weekend. If they won, they would have been in third place.
Hmm.
But they lost 3-1. Not a good showing. Totti had a bright spot. He scored I think 250. Right? He has like 250 goals I think in Serie A.
I
I believe
believe
that's
that
like
I believe that
I
Francesco
think he
Totti has officially scored in every season in Serie A.
yeah he has I think he's the second player ever to do that in Serie A.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
when was
sure
what
I
was his
read that.
first year? What was it like 1994? I believe.
Maybe when we were yeah or when
I
we were
mean, we
born.
pretty
Maybe
much. I
96.
mean, but the
But
both of us pretty much weren't alive.
yeah,
But
yeah. He's definitely been there for 20 years at least. And I think this is his final year. I believe he's retiring after the season. But besides him, and that's what you have to worry about is that to have someone like Totti, he's aging. He's 40 years old, and if he's going to be the one who carries your team, that is not good.
that's a
Because
huge problem right
because
there. I
if
mean,
what about your young
it's
guys? What about the future of your club? He's going to be gone.
not
Who's
just
going to
that.
score?
Pjanic now in
Yeah,
Juventus.
he's gone. And who are you going to rely on? Florenzi? You mean and
Yeah,
Dzeko's not
they're
scoring.
limited. They're limited, and
So
they have a lot of work to do after
don't get
this
me
year.
wrong, they're a very good team, and they could be second place or third place, and they even had the potential to win the league, but they're just not playing up to it. And then we have Inter, who Inter is just so inconsistent. They're in third
Inter's
place
a
right
flip
now.
flop.
Yeah,
I
they
mean they
beat
have.
Juventus, but then they tie against
I
Bologna.
mean, they also I feel they also beat Juventus on like I don't know. Juventus is going through a little bit of a downfall right now. I mean, it's not obviously I'm not saying they're streaking.
Juve
I
also
mean,
plays more games. I get. Well, I mean, tougher in the Champions League.
yeah,
But
I mean
Inter has
you could
Europa
look at
League,
that,
so
but it's what's expected Juventus to even like pull through these victories. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean it's not the Inter Milan that people have always known. I mean, like since like 2009, 2010, ever since like Zlatan was off the team. Yeah, they've been top 5, top 8 and all, but I mean they haven't really been Champions League status. But I mean,
Yeah, since they really won it a few years ago, they've fallen off the page a little bit.
yeah, I mean it's you can say that to the whole Serie A. I mean it's a great defensive league, but the problem with Serie A, it's just that it's I don't know. It's been more of a battle for second, third place. I mean, there's only been like 1 or 2 years where it's been like a 5 point
Yeah.
differential, where I believe the closest team to even marking Juventus for first place was Roma.
Yeah, last year was 9 between Juve and Napoli. I believe,
Yeah, I
so.
mean it was close throughout the process, but I mean, the last couple of months, I mean, Juventus started like taking it away a little bit, and then Juventus started to grab the W.
Yeah,
But
I definitely think that the league is underrated. I don't think it's defensive all the time. Personally, I think it's one of the most exciting. I think they score a lot of goals.
yeah, I mean,
know,
I feel
it has a
people
reputation.
shouldn't be judging leagues as like it's just bad league. It's just they work in their own way. I
Yeah.
mean, people should respect leagues equally. I mean, La Liga works in their own way, Premier League works in their own way. It's just the way the teams work. It's how they know each other. It's their chemistry. It's what they study.
Yeah. So
But
to point out some other outstanding information here, looking at the table, Milan is still not to their old self. They're still very inconsistent. They tied Fiorentina yesterday. They had a chance to score some goals, didn't do it. And then you have some surprise teams that are at 10 points right now, like Chievo and Bologna. Bologna's stuck in there with Inter, and drew 1-1. Chievo lost to Napoli, but they're still at 10 points. They have a decent looking team, a little tight team there. Sassuolo's at 9, but they've been playing good in Europe too, in the
Mhm.
Europa League and things like that. So we'll see where it closes out. Fiorentina's disappointing. They're at 8 points right now. But we'll see where this goes. So we'll
Yeah,
move from
it's-
Serie A.
we'll-
Tom, you can
We'll
give in the
move. We'll
last
move
thing.
into Serie A next week, marking who's going to be battling for third
Yeah,
place
we'll
and of course
definitely
first place.
follow up with some more
It
scores and
always
things
could change,
like that.
but heading over to Premier League now, I mean, we still have the monster Man City, still haven't even drawn a game. They're 4 points ahead of the second place Tottenham Spurs. Let's look into the fixtures right now. I mean, let's look at a notable win by Liverpool. I mean, yeah, they did versus Hull City, but this team is absolutely on fire right now. You have to look into who did Liverpool play before Hull City? I believe it was Chelsea, right?
Was it the week before? I'm not
It-
sure if
I
it's
believe it was
exactly
the week
Yeah,
before. I
but
mean-
they're on a roll right now for sure.
Yeah. The thing is that, I mean, they beat Hull City by 4 goals. Liverpool's a high attacking team, but they're really working well. I feel that this is the team that people should be watching out for. I mean, they are in 4th place right now. It's a tie, actually tied for 3rd against Arsenal. But never mind in Liverpool. That just kind of reminded me. Arsenal probably had the greatest victory of the week so far in any league, which they beat Chelsea 3-0.
3-0. They shut them out.
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea's a great team and all. I mean, they are only 1 game back, 3 points, from 3rd place. But I mean, you got to look at that as Arsenal. I mean, yeah, people always like talk about how they have that mental collapse once it hits like February, March.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a different story this year. I think if anything, they're gonna be a top 3 team. I think the top 3 teams would be Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
Yeah, even when they have their meltdowns, they're usually in the top 5, top 4, and they usually still end up getting to the Champions League. I mean, they're in
Right.
the Champions League. But it's always the problem of winning the league. You're right. They have a lot of trouble winning the league.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be solving that problem either this year.
I don't think that
mean,
they're gonna be able to overtake Man
without
City.
without considering injuries right now and form. Man City's
Man
definitely
City,
taking it.
everyone's on form. Aguero's a goal scoring machine right now. He's tearing off. And they still have Tottenham in front of them by a point, but there will be a point where you'll probably see them slip up a little bit. But we can look at other results this week.
Yeah, let's look at another key result here with Manchester United,
Yeah.
which they won 4-1 against Leicester City.
And they needed this win. Don't forget they lost 3-1 to Watford.
Right,
So
yeah.
They needed to bounce
If
back.
anything, both teams needed the win, but Manchester United, they definitely took this one. And another key goal that occurred here was Paul Pogba. I mean,
Yeah,
we
he
were
finally
actually
got
just
his first goal.
our last segment last week with the Premier League. We were discussing how Paul Pogba is really out of form. I mean, they only went into like 5 games, but he finally scored a goal. It was very effective. I believe it was a little like farther, 20 yards down. It was an upper 90. But maybe this could be the start of something new, you know?
Yeah, I think that he's gonna start getting settled in. I mean, last week we said that it's a matter of time before he produces. If he flops, he flops. But we judged him within what it was like 5 games that he had played. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
was way
I mean,
too early to
we're
judge.
looking at a month process right now.
Yeah,
I
and we're
mean, you
gonna
can't.
look at a long season with a lot of soccer to play. So,
Yeah. I mean, he was just recently transferred right before the league even started. But I mean, it seems to be working out very well right now. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they are 2 games back from Man City.
Besides Man City, you can't really say too much about the stayings right now because Chelsea, I don't think they'll stay where they are right now. What are they in 8th place right now?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see them staying like last year. I don't see
Yeah,
that happening
I can
again.
see Chelsea even.
Yeah,
You know, they can
they
reach
might
top
bounce
5.
back
I'm not
to top
huge.
4, but
I'm not huge with them with the whole Champions League spot. I mean, I feel Liverpool and Arsenal might have a better year than Chelsea. I feel Liverpool.
that's fair. I mean, Liverpool's on a roll too. So.
I mean, the Premier League is a very difficult league to predict. I mean, yeah, you can look at Man City winning the league and all, but I mean, realistically, maybe not because it's one of these leagues where even the top team throughout, right before winter, they have their hot streaks, and then out of nowhere during their 3-week break, a cold streak occurs. That same goes by before we head into the NFL. It goes by, looking into a bye week. I mean, most teams that hit bye weeks, they tend to have they go into a little bit of a flunk. I mean, it's how it is in like sports, but
any break breaks work 2 ways. It either messes you up or it gives you the rest that you need. So it's tough to really place it on one thing and then give it an exact result of what's going to happen.
Yep. Well,
but we're gonna move into the NFL in the next segment. So thank you for sticking with us. We'll definitely check back with Premier League and Serie A next week. And we'll also touch up on Champions League again with the results that happened, which we talked about last segment. So thank you for sticking with us. Appreciate it.
watch out for Liverpool.